Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into the North Main Minute. I'm Joshua Doby. A foundational planning question with which we're working all the time here at North Main Financial Group has to do with the broad-based idea of retirement planning. Now, that means different things for everybody. There are very different ways to come at the retirement planning process. It is a unique kind of experience as far as we're concerned here at North Main because everybody's situation is unique. Very, very important that you don't just use a template in thinking about retirement planning. Very important that you make sure that your projections are unique to you and not just something that perhaps you've gathered from somebody else or from some other information source. Brings me to the first point as far as retirement planning is concerned. Don't just focus on the accumulation of assets. Now, I have to raise my hand quickly and say that our industry is guilty of doing that. We're guilty of hyper-focusing on just the accumulation of assets when, from a retirement standpoint, it's so much more than achieving a certain number. That number is important. I get it. Saving for a goal, saving inside of your 401k, your retirement plan, other kinds of investments so that you're able to retire at some point with some kind of number as far as your accumulation is concerned. It's important, but it doesn't start there. It actually just starts there. I would offer up to you from a planning standpoint something much more comprehensive. I'm not going to touch on all the points here, but a single point of consideration that yes, the accumulation of assets is important, but so is the management of your personal and household overhead or small business overhead, meaning that the spread between your ability to produce income, be it from your portfolio, working or otherwise, and your overhead is actually what allows for a comfortable retirement. Yes, the assets are good and that's important, but if you have overhead that matches or exceeds your assets, you're going to feel like you're poor. I don't care what your net worth is. So very, very important to keep in mind, don't just concentrate on your assets, but concentrate on that spread between your ability to produce income and what your overhead is. Brings me to the second point. And it may be intuitive, but I'm still going to say it again. Have a plan. I'm biased, of course. That's our business. This is what we do. We manage assets. We develop financial plans, retirement plans for clients. But have a plan. It's so important to make sure that you understand where you're going. It doesn't have to be complex. If you're younger, in your younger years, earlier in your career, doesn't mean that you have to have an exact idea. I'm going to retire at age 59 and I'm going to have this amount of income. It may be that specific, but life happens a lot along the way, which brings me to the third point, which from North Main's standpoint is absolutely foundational in the planning process. Make sure your plan is flexible. Life happens. I know we're guilty of it in this industry. We think in straight lines. Here's where you are, here's where you want to be, do all these things along the way, and that's where you'll get. Except life never works that way. Ever. We're still guilty of it. We still think in straight lines. Life actually looks like waves on an ocean. Sometimes you're at the peak, sometimes you're in the trough, and a whole bunch of the time you're in between. So what's happening during those peaks and troughs and those spaces in between? Is your plan fungible enough, flexible enough to be able to absorb those not so great times, be able to capture a good portion of those good times to be able to get you to your goal? That, from a foundational planning standpoint, is very critical when we're thinking about retirement planning. If you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, perhaps take a look at a retirement plan for the first time, or perhaps you've had a plan for quite some time, you're getting close to retirement, you want to make sure that it's teed up, not just for retirement day, but for what we would hope are the years and decades that follow in retirement, we'd love to hear from you, northmainfinancial.com.